Round one. Fight.
Heroes never die.
I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite store on the Citadel.
I used to be an adventurer like you. Then I took an arrow in the knee.
Power, sex, power. They both come down to one thing.
Hungry Gamers.
Hello, and welcome, boys and girls, to the 151st episode of the Hungry Gamers podcast. We are powered by 8bit.net and Audio Technica. I am your extremely humble host, Brendan White. You can find me just about everywhere at Brendan 8bit. And on today's episode, we're going to be discussing our impressions on Rage 2 and Days Gone, the potential behind Sony and Microsoft working together, Red Dead Online finally leaving beta, and a lot more. But I need to also bring in the two that are joining me this week. And the first man needs no introduction, so he isn't getting one. You can find him at Saleem TD, Mr. Saleem Abraham, and manning the third chair this week. He's an acclaimed author, host of the Putting in Work podcast, and a Chicago Bulls tragic. Find him at Jono himself, Mr. Jono Pech. How you doing this morning, boys? It's a pleasure.
I was doing really good until you mentioned the Chicago Bulls tragicness. Tragedy.
Still a little raw after sort of slipping in the draft this
lottery,
past week.
Yeah, that was a huge disappointment, as it probably was for almost every fan of a bad team. It feels like the bad teams just will continue to be bad, but we ain't here to talk about basketball, are we, Mr. Raptors?
Yeah, we're all feeling various levels of raw emotion, I think, after this past week of NBA goodness. You for the draft, me for getting spanked by the Bucks in round 2 and throwing away game 1. But yeah, that's it. Dream, I see you shirtless. You're looking good. You're looking
fresh cut,
looking refreshed. Cut.
I'm so lost with the NBA talk because I haven't been paying any attention at all to this playoff series. So you're Raptors lost, Brendan?
So we're in the conference championships at the moment to see who comes out of the East. Right, so it's us versus the Milwaukee Bucks. We were winning game 1 pretty convincingly most of the way, and then just threw it away in the fourth quarter. So we lost that game. And then in the second game, we just got smacked from opening bell right through to the end. So we're down 2-0 in the game of potential 7-game series. So we're going home this week and see if we can get some wins back, but it's not looking good.
I see. And Jono's the Bulls didn't make it, I take it.
No, but we had like the 4th best chance at hitting the number 1 draft pick, and we ended up with the 7th pick. So,
wow.
Yeah, they've been the 5th worst team over the past 4 or 5 seasons, and we've never drafted higher than 7th. So, them's the breaks.
Maybe you guys can start intentionally tanking.
Well, that doesn't seem to help anymore because they've changed the lottery odds, and that's what happened the past year. They finished with the 4th worst record and still ended up with the 7th pick. So
yeah, it was surprising. Like we usually have a pretty good handle of who's going to be picking first overall because there is a whole lot of hullabaloo about potential rigging for specific markets to get that first, obviously for ratings and what have you, and that's a whole rabbit hole we're not going to go down today. But you think LA, Chicago, and New York, 3 of the bigger market teams in the NBA, they were all in that sort of driver's seat for that first overall pick, and they all slipped. All 3 of the the Lakers jumped up to 4, but the other 2 teams fell back. So poor old Zion Williamson is going to the Pelicans instead.
Yeah, New Orleans seems like a nice place, but
it's a beautiful city. I don't know why they shit can it. Like, it's one of the best places in America, but that's another story for another day. But yes, we're here, episode 151. We did have a little break. Shout out to all the mothers out there for Mother's Day this past week. Hopefully you showed them all the love and respect and care for helping you through those various aspects of your life. But I've got a quick question for you gents today.
Yeah.
And with the Australian election now officially in the books, I ask you this. Which video game character would make a great Prime Minister and why? Dream? Shirtless Wonder? What do you got for me?
I'm going with a real technical loophole here. I'm going to say Shane Warne from Brian Lara Cricket.
Or Shane
Or
Warne
you
Cricket.
could say from Shane Warne Cricket 98, yeah.
I think they were the same game, but just rebranded.
Yeah, is it? Okay. I want to see Warney in there. I think he'd make he's a bit of a character. And politics seems to be full of characters now. We've lost a couple with this election. We need to replenish our crazy. So let's get Warney in there.
That's pretty fair.
Yeah.
It's pretty fair.
He wouldn't be the worst person in Canberra to be in that position.
No, I don't think he would. Yeah, it's a hard question though. I was trying to think of an actual video game character to put in there, and I just couldn't come up with anyone that wasn't a villain. So I thought, yeah, let's get Warney. Let's give him a shot.
See, I thought you might have gone maybe Duke Nukem, like when he was the president in Duke Nukem Forever, and he had his little schoolgirl twin sex assistants and all that kind of stuff. I thought, you know what, he's never a man to shy away from controversy. So the Duke could move over here, get his Australian citizenship somehow, and become the PM. But I'm gonna go with my boy or my girl, depending on which preference you want to go for in this franchise. I'm gonna go Commander Shepard. He or she makes the hard decisions. Can be apt. Both in the ways of the Paragon and the Renegades, so can rule with an iron fist or a soft heart, saves universes, thwarts the Reaper threat and all that other stuff. So I'm casting my vote for the N7 party in future elections.
That's solid. It's hard to pick against Shepard, but I went with Sully from Uncharted because, people always say they want a prime minister they could have a beer with. Whether or not that would actually be a good thing or not, I don't know. But I think that Sully was the man behind Drake's adventures, the logistics man, and he was often not afraid to get his hands dirty as well. So someone like that, I reckon, could do a good job of leading the country. And he just seems like a fun dude.
He could fit into that old Bob Hawke archetype, really, couldn't he?
That's what I'm thinking.
That older PM that, as you said, doesn't mind an ale and rolling up the sleeves and everything else like that. But so we've got we've got the same Prime Minister now for a full term. So ScoMo is back in the driver's seat. We don't want to bore all our listeners too much with political talk here, especially because I am probably not informed enough to carry a decent conversation about all this. But
you can catch that on It Is What It Is this week.
This week, are you on the episode this week with him?
No, I think it might be Logan Wilkinson. He is an American, but he's very informed on Australian politics for some reason. So
yeah, he just seems to just research everything and anything. Like he has got valid, sort of well thought out hot takes on most things in the world, and it's very impressive. But he is a fantastic guy. Logan is a really good bloke, and give that episode a listen when it drops this week.
If he's not on this week, it will be in the next couple of weeks. So yeah.
But get hyped, get hyped. All right, so let's shift gears. Tell me about the things that you have been playing, gentlemen. I know Jono and we share some similarities, so we can probably tag team a couple of these titles. But maybe we'll go with the Great Unknown and ask the Shirtless Wonder what he's been playing this week to start with.
The Shirtless
Tell
Wonder.
me the things.
Mate, I'm pretty droll this week. I've been playing a lot more Harry Potter Wizards Unite. I know I really trashed it. I didn't really trash it, but I did say that it kind of lacked all the charm that Pokemon Go has. I probably still stand by that. One of the interesting things I've unlocked though now at a later level is professions, which the game has skill trees. So there are 3 separate skill trees in there that you can unlock that just give you boosts against specific encounters in the game. So that is that you can be a professor if you wanted to be. You could be a magizoologist, Brendan.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Have a stab at what that does.
So you are an expert of magical creatures, is my guess.
That's correct. You're the Newt Scamander of the Harry Potter world if you go with a magizoologist role. Or you can be an aura, which is like the Harry Potter police.
Did you go the police?
No, I very much wanted to play out the fantasy of a dark wizard, which the game just doesn't have any sort of options that let you do that. So I just thought I'll roll around as a professor, which gives me boons against enchantments, like magical books. that float around and hassle people. So I've been doing that on my bouts to and from. I've also been playing a ton of League of Legends, which is not particularly interesting or sexy to talk about at the moment, but I just don't understand why this happens to me. I just have this itch to play some kind of MOBA. Like once a year, I'll spend maybe 2 months or a month solid just playing one. Like League, it's usually League. I'm going through that now. It's a lot of fun. I don't know, it's just easy. You guys don't play MOBAs, do you? Like, I don't know you, Brendan, to have ever played like a League of Legends or a Dota.
Not in any great amount of detail. Like, I think most of my LoL experience comes from playing with you.
Yeah.
So
You're still on
outside
my
of when you
friends
and I have
list.
played together, I'd hope so.
You're like
son of a
level
bitch.
6 on my friends list.
But yeah, not very adversed in the MOBA landscape. But as controversy sort of constantly courts riot, we saw the walkouts this past week or so. So is that maybe the inkling of why you had to get back in? You wanted to show some support to these sort of hard done by riot staff. Maybe you want to get behind them and do what you can. That's why I jumped on. No, I do not want to be. I don't think with Riot's history, I don't think I would ever really be in a position to support them. But when have you really known me to support anyone, Brendan? Apart from yourself, that is very true. You are, yes. As you said, you wanted to be like a dark wizard. That is,
I support
you embody
Brendan.
that.
I'll support you. And Jono, I'll support you. But watch yourself.
We're on thin ice.
Yeah. No, so look, that's all I've been playing this week. I'm actually excited to jump on next week and talk about A Plague Tale, though. That's me for the next 7 days.
It is getting some hot press. Like, I haven't played it yet, but and it wasn't really on my radar, but just sort of seeing all the reviews and just the sort of social media hot takes about it, like I need to get my hands on this.
Yeah, it seems. I mean, it's obviously got a real medieval feel to it, which feels a little bit exhausting to me at the moment, just because of all the Soulsborne games I've played in the last 4 months. Not that this is that genre, but just that setting and that tone. But either way, I'm very excited to play this game, and I'll be back in 7 full days from now to talk about that one in a bit more detail. But boys, by all means, talk me through Rage 2 and Days Gone. What's the feeling out there?
Where do we want to start, Jono?
Days Gone's a bit older, so maybe we can cover that one off first.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
So I've finished Days Gone. I've basically platinumed it. I'm just waiting for them to fix a glitch in one of the quests that's stopping me from finishing some of the side stuff. But I really liked it, and it's certainly not a perfect game, as pretty much everyone has said about it, I think. But it's far from trash that some of the outlets have kind of described it as, I think. And I know that to some people, if it's not an 8, then they kind of just decide that it's not worth playing. But this really is one of those 7.5s that if you like the type of game that it is, it's definitely worth playing. And especially if you aren't playing anything that, scratches that itch for an open world zombie killing type thing, because it's got all of those elements. It's got your, fill out the map and tick off all the boxes. It's got a surprisingly good story. Like, I like the story. I like Deacon St. John as the protagonist. I think that his character design is quite interesting, and his backstory is different than that we've seen in a video game before. So, as much as there are a lot of the typical tropes for a zombie apocalypse, I enjoyed it, and I think that a lot of people are enjoying it too. It looks like it's selling at least decently, if not well. And it's definitely worth your time if you like this type of game. But as I said, they have cut corners. It's not a perfect game. And if you don't expect that, I think you'll have a decent time, if not a good time.
Yeah, like I'm with you. Like, I haven't finished it yet. I'm probably, I'd say, around 15 hours or so in. So I'm invested enough to care about what's going on and have a good understanding of the Oregon world that they've got here. But yeah, it's not perfect, but I'm enjoying it, and it is scratching an itch. And now that I've finished Rage 2, I will go back to Days Gone and see what Deacon St. John and co get up to as far as their sort of freaker antics and everything else, and see how that story plays out. Like, it is fun. The combat side of it, I think, like the strategies about trying to take down massive hordes of freakers, and there is a sense of adrenaline when you are on the toe, like getting chased by like
absolutely
20, 30, 50, however many of these things at once. Like, that is really heart pumping and pretty invigorating when you survive that, or pull out a few things out of your sort of bounty hunter tackle box and knock these things down. So that's great. Some of the voice acting is a little bit campy here and there. I don't know if that's by design or just how it's sort of conveyed, but I'm digging it. And as you said, Jono, like, there needs to be an expectation set where any game that's not an 8 and above isn't bad. Like, they have their place. Like, I'm not about a 7.5. I'd probably say, if we're going to score it out of 10, it's probably like a 6.5, potentially to a 7, depending on where this thing goes. And I think that's still worth the time. And as you said, like, the thing that's surprising me the most with this game is how well it's selling. Like, through the Eastern markets, like through Asia, it's one of the best selling Sony exclusives in a long time. I think I saw the IGDA charts yesterday or the day before, and I think it's number 1 for the 3rd week in a row, which is pretty impressive considering Rage 2's come out, Mortal Kombat's there, and a few other titles that are getting some positive press. So it's doing well, and no doubt we probably will see the inevitable Days Gone 2 down the line.
Yeah, I think for a studio that's invested so much into building this world, it's, and from some things that happen in the game, I think a sequel is fairly inevitable, especially if it sells enough. But back on the Hordes thing, like, that is something that probably could have been a bit more of a feature throughout the game. It's kind of endgame content because it's so hard to take them out without the firepower that you get later on. I enjoyed kind of approaching them early and trying to kind of game my way into beating a horde, which gives you that extra bit of adrenaline. Whereas at the end, I've just uploaded a 8-bit kind of let's play / review discussions for a bit more of my thoughts on the game, showing how to take down a massive horde of about 300 freaks. So yeah, when you get to that point, you're feeling very confident, and it does feel good to be able to just kind of pinpoint, take them down strategically, and know that you've got what it takes. It's a cool feature, and to have that many enemies on screen at once, all kind of acting with that herd mentality, is a kind of AI feature that I don't think I've experienced in that type of game before.
Yeah, and it's well executed, and like, I haven't sort of had much success because, as I said, I'm still sort of maybe a third of the way in the game. Because what you said, it's about 50 to 60 hours worth so far to get where but you did a lot of
probably
exploration for chasing that plat. So
definitely, yeah. I think you're looking at least 40 hours. The story is way too long. I think the first third of the game, almost probably where you're up to, could almost get cut out without losing too much. But yeah, I guess it has its purpose to kind of set the tone, but it really starts getting a bit more interesting in the second and third parts of the game, which I think is good, because at the start, the novelty is kind of just the game itself. And then as that kind of wears off, the story kind of does pick up and get you pushed through to the end. Well, at least for me. Anyway.
That's good, because there was a few lulls there where I'm like, man, I'm kind of done playing today, so I'd go and occupy my time with something else. So yeah, I'll keep pushing through, but I guess we could sort of flip the script to a game that released this past week, and that was Rage 2, obviously published by Bethesda, designed and sort of put together in partnership with id Software as well as Avalanche. You're a lot less, like, I've finished the main campaign and done all the arcs and everything like that, so maybe I'll get your initial impressions from your sort of 5 or so hours in so far.
Sure, yeah. So I have found the game a little disappointing so far, just because it's not hitting all the cylinders that I wish it was. As far as the combat, that's really fun, and I enjoy every time that I'm shown a section full of bad guys to take down in a variety of ways, but it's those things in between those sections that are a lot less fun, whether it's driving the car around the open world or exploring an area for a container that's impossible to find, or talking to people in the community hubs. They're the story isn't enough to make me interested in that side of it, and I guess the environmental storytelling's not really there as far as the exploration. So from that aspect, it's kind of like I wish I could just get to the next action part of the game, and that makes me wonder if it would be better to be more of a linear story or experience. But I am early, and I'm sure that it will open up a lot differently as I get access to different vehicles and that kind of thing, and more abilities and all of that. So I'm reserving judgment at this point, but I will say, like, its story in itself isn't something that's getting me hooked in. It's similar to The Division, which I'll talk about in a bit because the raid's just come out, but The Division was a game that I enjoyed just because of the gameplay, and I didn't really care about the story. And I'm getting to that point in Rage 2 where I'm wondering whether I should be skipping some dialogue or not.
You're pretty well bang on the money. Like, the game is certainly not known for its narrative, that's for sure. Like, its strength lies in that combat, in that frenetic throwing abilities, using a whole host of weapons to disintegrate mutants and these sort of neon punk raiders and everything else that you come across. But outside of the combat, all I found when I'm not in combat is I want more combat, because driving around in a host of Mad Max-esque looking vehicles, or even this little drone, it's kind of crappy. It is very bland and boring, just going from point A to point B and whatever else happens in between. So if they did maybe tighten it up just to be strictly sort of an on-rail shooter, I think it would have been a lot better. I'm a sucker for narrative, and you get most of the game's story probably in the first 20 minutes, like with the whole opening and sort of the evil, the authority are inserted right off the jump as far as the main antagonist that you're going to be going against. Like General Cross is the leader, and so he's the big bad that you're going to be facing. You do fight a whole host of mutants and various other marauders during your game time, but it's just mindless fun. Like, the way I describe it is, take sort of some of the horror and the enemy models from a Quake and some of the weapon and gunplay from Quake and that sort of id formula, and chuck it into a Borderlands sort of universe with a little bit of that same delivery and tone, and that's what Rage 2 is for me. I have a review coming out this week. I've just finished writing all the script for that last night, so cool. Record all that, get some video done for that as well, so that'll give you a little bit more of a breakdown on it. But yeah, sadly, I think you hit the nail on the head as far as describing your 5 hours. That's what's going to expand for the rest of your your experience. Like, some of the weapons and the abilities, when you get them all and you're starting to chain them together, is bonkers. Like, being able to destroy people and, force throw them into things, doing massive big sort of leaps and then sort of seismic smashes into the ground, sort of big force push, like Hadouken out of your hand. Like, there is a lot of ways you can go about destroying an enemy camp, and once you get some of the right weaponry and the abilities, like, it's almost, you have like God mode turned on. Like, the final, I'd say easy, at least the final third of the game, I didn't die once. Like, and there wasn't much strategy. I just run in there, know which weapons I liked, which abilities I liked, and I'd chain it all together and just run roughshot. Like, wasn't hunting for health packs very often, because you're picking up sort of incremental bits of health from enemies you down. So the game almost lends itself to that Doom style, where it's just push. And for the most part, you're going to win. But it's good fun. It's probably around that 7-ish mark as well, on the same vein as Days Gone, but it's worth a look. I love Bethesda games. I love id shooters. So I had a good time, but I just wish they fleshed out the universe a little more and got me to buy in more into the story and care more about the characters, because it's sort of just like, I'll go do this quest. I'll go do that quest. I'll blow up some stuff.
How did you find, like, the length of it held up? Like, is it something where you are glad that you took as long as you did, or is it worth some kind of, for some people, maybe just streamlining the main quest? And
like I finished it, the main quest, probably in about 15-ish, I reckon. And that was with every arc as well. So for those that don't know, the arcs are where you go and sort of settle these areas that bad guys have occupied, and you get access to an arc which can upgrade your ranger suit. and that'll either give you rare weapons or the abilities. So it's in your best interest to hunt down these arcs because you're going to get more sort of tactical advantages when you go into battle. So I'd highly recommend trying to hunt as many of those down as you can before you get too engrossed in the story. But really, there's only sort of 3 sort of story arcs that you're dealing with. You've got sort of John Marshall, Lusum Hagar, and then Antonin Kavasa, which is sort of your main 3 advisors, and they send you off on these quests to get abilities to then break into the authority base and, overthrow these bad guys. So you do those sort of stories as you're running around, and that's sort of it. But yeah, there's no real narrative payoff. It's is what it is, just going for the mindless fun, really.
Yeah.
Dream, you going to pick up Rage 2?
God, no. No, this game, well, I mean, after your glowing review, it's probably not a game that I'm going to pick up. It's not a game that appeals to me, just naturally anyway. So no, I'll dodge Rage 2. I'll definitely dodge Days Gone as well. Not, again, for any other reason other than these games just don't really have that much of an appeal for me. Deacon St. John, though. That name I'll think about for years to come. It's just such a weird, cool name to say, but it's also, I don't know, it's something very 90s about it.
Yeah, he'd fit right in the reboot of 90210 that's taking place at the moment.
It reminds me of, I think it's Austin St. John, who's the Red Ranger. I think that's his name.
Oh, yeah.
Austin,
didn't he go to jail? Is he the one that went to jail for nearly killing somebody?
I think so, yeah. Or is it? It's John St. Austin or something like this. Anyway, there's a saint in there somewhere.
Yeah, because the only other times you really hear of a name with sort of a saint in there is probably tied into some kind of porno. So, yeah, in this case, Deacon St. John, the man running roughshod through Portland. All right, so Division 2, Mr. Peck.
So the raid, I guess it's not actually the raid, but we're calling it the raid, was released this week. And I tried it last night, and it's pretty hard. They recommend going in with 8 people, and it was just me and my friend Tom Marshall and Jared Trail, and we didn't get past the first section. So if anyone out there is still playing the Division 2, you've been grinding out to kind of get towards that 500 gear score, you're still going to need a lot of friends getting together to play this raid. And the really kind of frustrating thing that hopefully gets patched is that there's no matchmaking, so you really do have to invite people from your clan or organize with friends outside of, ahead of time to do this, because it's just impossible. I don't understand that decision to not just include random matchmaking. Maybe it's not something that has worked in Destinies and previous games that have got this type of feature in there. But yeah, apparently it's a 5 hour, or the first people to finish it took 5 hours. So it's a bit of a commitment, and hopefully I can find some kind of team to tackle it on the PS4.
Well, at time of recording, no one has completed the raid on console. It's only been done on PC, and now people are finishing the raid on PC in around an hour.
Okay.
But apparently the issues on console lie from obviously the sort of sluggish aiming and movement, as opposed to, obviously, keyboard and mouse, you can be a lot quicker as far as for aiming and sort of snapping around and general character movement. So
really,
there's already people saying, like the community within Ubisoft is saying they need to nerf the raid for console, whether it be extending moments of vulnerability for when the boss can be damaged. It's giving you more sort of downtime when you need to sort of pick up your squad mates and things like that. So we'll see what happens.
They've definitely made it feel a bit different from the rest of the game. Not just the new area that you're fighting in. It's like a airport tarmac, kind of like in Civil War, but also, well, that's just the start where I've got, because we only got to the first area. But you've got these revive kits. Instead of being able to revive everyone, you can only revive people twice when they've fully died. Yep. So you have to really get to them to revive them while they're kind of just unconscious. So you can kind of save those revive kits, I guess. It's an extra thing to think about and worry about, I guess, as you're playing. So probably having those 8 people is necessary from that point of view as well.
Jono, just off the back of Brendan's comment about the aiming being part of the reason why people can't finish it on console, it seems like a really obscure reason not to be able to complete any kind of content, because it feels like obviously people have preferences, but typically console players are very good at using just a console controller to play any kind of FPS. So do you think is there just like more people playing on PC than there is in the consoles? Is that anyone's understanding? I don't know
it's
if
possible.
You can pull that up, Brendan.
I have heard about the difficulty to turn around thing being the reason that this was harder. So maybe it's an area where there's kind of bad guys coming at you from all directions where that becomes especially effective tactic. I'm not sure. So we'll see. I haven't had any problems with the aiming and stuff on PS4. So yeah, it must be that maneuvering.
Yeah, it's odd. You're right. It is odd that there isn't like a pug function in there to match people together. In this day and age, like it seems like almost a standard.
Because it's in the rest of the game, it's just not in the raid for some reason.
Right, okay. Yeah, maybe it will get patched in.
It's strange too, because like sort of reading more into this as you guys were talking, one of the other issues is highlighted is that it seems designed for just straight DPS builds as opposed to someone coming in as a healer or as the tank. It's more so about just do as much damage as you can in the quickest amount of time. So it sort of takes away some of the that element as well, which is interesting.
Yeah, there's a perk called like damage to elites, and I think that's something that's particularly effective at this point in the game, where you want to be able to do as much damage as you can to the hardest enemies. Yeah,
just melt.
Yeah. Anyway, stay tuned.
But we'll see. Yeah, hopefully next week we get an update that you guys have finished it, one of the world firsts on PlayStation 4, and you can tell us all about it.
Hopefully.
So I guess one thing we could bring up really quick before we sort of start shifting into the news, Detective Pikachu, the game that has become the film, which has released within the last fortnight. I have seen it once. Jono is yet to see it due to reasons potentially on this podcast now. And Dream, you said you've watched it twice now?
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
You must have loved it.
I hate this film so much. I don't know. You know what? I've seen it twice. I promised that I would see it with my sister, and then just could not wait, so decided to go and see it beforehand. Didn't like it the first time around, but didn't want to ruin the experience for my sister. Did, on the other hand, ruin it for Jono by spoiling the film in a group chat, not knowing that Jono hadn't seen it. I didn't even ask.
You really did. You just came in and just fired off shots.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I publicly I would like to apologize to you, Jono. I actually don't feel. I feel awful for spoiling a film for you, my dear friend. I don't feel that awful being that it's Detective Pikachu and not like, I don't know, Endgame.
Yeah.
Or something.
I'm not losing sleep about it, but it has diminished my enthusiasm to go and see it. I was planning to see it this weekend. I might still, but
I think it's still worth a watch.
It hasn't taken me from I'm going to see this to I'm not going to see this, but I may have already seen it this weekend if I hadn't known that. Just subconsciously, it's possible that that's affected my motivation.
You could go watch John Wick 3 instead.
Yes, you could. You could. It's a fine kids film, and certainly take your kids to see it. There's a couple of things in there. It's weird where it sort of leans two ways. It like skews towards like just appeasing fans of the franchise from 20 years ago. There's a lot of deep cuts in there. Like there's a lot of things in there that longtime fans would appreciate, and a lot of references to the TV series and the games. I actually, as an adult, like more and more that I think about Pokemon, I actually just think about how bizarre this world is that they've set up and sold for 20 years. Because it's effectively like, it's just subjugating animals and putting them into cockfights. Like, that's kind of in a nutshell what Pokemon is. And that they've managed to like get by for 20 years, and they've had Peter crap and all that stuff, but like they've actually made it work. They've made a good go of it, and I love it. But
do you think they survive on the back of the fact that the Pokemon, for the most part, are pretty adorable? And they
I think
are
that's
sort
a big
of,
part of it. I think that's got to be a big
sort of
part of it.
cartoony style.
There's something else also about the crack-like way that it just feels so good to collect things and collecting Pokemon, and then you befriend them, and so you create this bond with them. It all works. I don't know. It's a perfect franchise.
Well, you think about it like you look at it like everyone loves pets, but a lot of them don't want to have to deal with them 24/7. But in this aspect, you catch them, you can play with them, you get bored of them, you just chuck it in a Pokeball and put it in your pocket. Like, you just deal with it when you want. Like, you're getting cuddles on demand.
Yeah. I think they've kind of addressed this issue somewhat in the lore where, you know, "You're my best friend" isn't that one of the lyrics in the song? But also
that forgives it.
Yeah. No, but also, like, you have characters that do treat their Pokemon like friends and pets, and then you've got some trainers like the bad guys who are kind of like draconian, and you know, they kind of mistreat their Pokemon, and they're the bad guys, just like in real life, where we have a lot of uses for animals, whether it's police dogs or just as companions and this kind of thing. But then there are people who mistreat their animals, and they're the bad guys, you know. So it's kind of weighed up in the real world.
It goes further. It goes like way further in exploring those ideas in the core games. Like, there's Black and White, Pokemon Black and White, where the antagonist wants to completely destroy the Pokemon trainer bond because it is subjugating Pokemon to people's will.
And yet he's cast as the bad guy.
And he's the bad guy. and that's why I think that's so interesting that they even like go there. But in the film, I just thought it was interesting because Rhyme City, the main setting of this Pokemon Detective Pikachu, is a city where Pokemon aren't kept in Pokeballs. They're just sort of it's meant to be a city where people and Pokemon can just live in harmony together. And it's a fun city. It's fun to watch this world, but the people also have partner Pokemon. Everyone's got a partner Pokemon, and there's still this bond there. So it felt odd to me that they're like, there's no Pokemon trainers in this world, and they kind of go out of their way to say, we've moved past that now. We're no longer about Pokemon trainers because that's old hat. That's not necessarily right, and we found a better way. But they do still kind of have this archaic. But it was just weird. I thought it was weird the way they set that up. So anyway,
yeah, it was very much a person and their singular Pokemon. Like, that's no spoilers. It was pretty much just like a one-to-one relationship there, and that was it. Yeah,
a very monogamous Pokemon relationship. It's an okay film. It's boring. I don't like the way it treats some of like the main characters, particularly. And it's not a spoiler to say Mewtwo's in this.
Isn't it? Okay.
It's not. No,
just keep spoiling stuff for me.
It's in the trailer.
He's in all the trailers, or most of the trailers.
Yeah, okay.
It's in the trailer.
Okay.
I don't know. As an old fan, I wanted more. I would have loved to have seen more, but I think it's a decent film. It's okay.
I liked it. Like, I get some of the things you're saying, but like, did you ever play the Detective Pikachu game?
No.
Because a lot of this is taken, bits of it, and I've read a bit about it too. A lot of it is taken from that story, so it is sort of true to that game, but yeah, then blurs the lines of other entries into the franchise.
It's not the story that I have a problem with per se. Like, it's just not fun. It's actually not a fun film to watch. There's a couple of like
some
decent
parts.
moments, but not really. I would very much argue that this could be so much more enjoyable. It's the ultimate. The film is the trailer. If you saw the trailer, you've seen every set piece. And that's about as exciting as the film really kind of gets, is those moments that everyone's already seen for the months leading up to the film.
I think we can chalk this up as a hot take for you, Saleem, because I haven't heard any negativity about it at all from most people online. So there you go.
Which is weird. Like, I listened in the first sitting, there were people trashing the film on the way out of the cinema. Like, not me, but other people, but also me. Yeah.
I think it just depends on what you're looking for, really, too. Like,
yeah, sure.
If you just want to see Pokemon realized, in real life, then I think it does a pretty decent job of that. But as far as having any real depth outside of some of these set pieces and a few of the relationships that get touched on but never really explored, I think it does well. And they're setting up this universe. Obviously, they're already talking about there's scripts getting written potentially for Detective Pikachu 2. So that's on its way.
Oh, for sure.
So they might explore some of these themes and whatnot in future detail. But like, it's great. There was some plot holes there that annoyed me, but obviously it wasn't going to be a film known for its perfect story writing and storytelling, I think. So, but check it out. Like, I wouldn't regret watching it again, or I don't regret going to the cinemas and paying money. Like, I had fun.
I regretted going again. I would definitely recommend it to like families. Like, if you want to take your kids to see this, absolutely go and do it. If you're an old fan of the franchise, sure, go and see it. I wouldn't dissuade people from watching it. I've said my bit. I'm more excited for John Wick 3.
You won't see it a third time then, Saleem?
Maybe, I don't know. The world's a crazy place, Jono.
Yeah.
It's been a while. I didn't even see Endgame twice in the cinemas, Like, what was the last thing? Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was the last thing I saw twice in the cinemas.
I picked up a copy of that on 4K Blu-ray, and my goodness, it is good to watch at home.
Oh, you lucky. Yeah.
It is a feast for the senses.
It's worth it. Yeah, it's definitely worth it. I should do that. I love that film so much. But anyway.
Very, very underrated. Very underrated. Obviously, sequel coming to that too soon, but not a bad thing. So that's our hot takes on Pikachu and Days Gone and Rage 2 and the Division 2 raid. Shall I move into some news? Actually, no. We'll move into some housekeeping first because I'm an idiot. First things first, wanted to say a big shout out and congratulations to the team at Pixel Sift, the Western Australian-based video game media outlet that have won the Best Gaming Podcast of the 2019 Australian Podcasting Awards just last night that Saleem the Dream Abraham attended.
Woo!
Do you want to give us any additional info or thoughts on the event from your experience?
It was very weird. It was a very weird, interesting event to go to because it was a very industry, heavy event, which is different though to like when we go to things like E3 or to any of the other cons. It's all gaming and there's a different feel to it. This was very formal, very black tie affair. And there was people, from what I didn't realize was ABC and SBS have a lot of podcasts. They have a ton of fucking podcasts, and they were nominated in almost every category and won in almost every category. It was phenomenal. I just didn't understand.
Did you wear a tie, Saleem?
I didn't wear a tie. I wore a peach button-up shirt with black jeans and some black suede boots. My date for the evening, Mr. Christopher Burns, good friend to the podcast that neither Brendan nor Jono know or have ever met. He suited up entirely. He wore a full suit.
Good on him.
And I felt bad. Like I felt like I needed to do that. But anyway, no, it was good.
And attend?
Sorry,
WA? Were Pixel Sift there?
Yes, Gianni was there to accept the award. Congratulations to Pixel Sift for getting it. Also a shout out to Jason Imms from Game Hugs podcast, though Jason wasn't there to make it. He was another one of the finalists along with us, the Hungry Gamers there, and 3 other podcasts that I'm lesser familiar with. It was a great night. Yeah, it was a good night.
It's good.
A lot of jokes. It was a well put on affair. A lot of categories, 18 categories.
Yeah, it sounds like it would be a weird cross section of humans there. Like just you guys being the games people, and then probably true crime and like everything else.
The games people were like the least focus of anyone there, and it's the sort of room where the only people in the room are people who have been nominated. There's very few podcasting fans turning out for the Australian Podcast Awards 2019.
I reckon that's to do with the cost of the damn tickets. Like they were charging, I think, $50 to $60 a pop for general admission tickets for people that weren't nominated. And the people that were nominated, they gave you a discounted rate of like $30 a ticket. So you've got to pay to get in to potentially get your award. Like it could have been handled better. And obviously they've got costs that they need to cover, but it's a bit on the nose for me.
You know what though? It's an industry night. It's not really like it's weird because for us, this is a hobby, right? This is a hobby that we're very passionate about, but there are many people in that room who that's their job. That's their day to day. That's what they do for work. Again, a la ABC and SBS shows where it's just full on producers and stuff, you know, we're as professional as, you know, us getting up every Sunday morning, mostly in our underwear.
Shirts are optional.
Shirts are optional. And look, frankly, I don't want to change that rule. If shirts become mandatory, I'm out. You know, I don't want to sell out.
You're on thin ice, shirtless Saleem. Thin ice.
It was a lovely night. Congratulations again to Pixel Sift.
Yeah.
The other part of that worth considering is that the ABC guys are probably creating these audio shows for the radio and then like maybe doubling up and repurposing them as podcasts. That's just a guess. I don't listen to them, so I wouldn't know, but it's possible that, you know, that does have commercial backing and, you know, all that resource and research and everything that they need to put together a great show. So
yeah. Absolutely.
Now, majority of the nominees were from that sphere where they are maybe recording in permanent fixed ABC or radio based studios and everything else like that. So they certainly don't have no hungry HQs, that's for sure.
No. But you know what as well? I would encourage anyone who is interested to go and check out the winners of all the categories. There's a ton of, 6 nominees in every category, 18 categories.
108 podcasts.
Sorry?
108 podcasts.
108 podcasts. Look at that quick math. So there's a ton of podcasts there, and they're all Australian made and Australian produced. So that's nice. That's pretty cool. Go and check it out.
100%. And when you're done checking out the nominees and winners from the OzPod Awards, head on over to patreon.com/weare8bit and dip into your pocket, see if you can throw us some spare change. From as little as $1 a month, you're going to get access to exclusive content, such as the 8-Bit Cast. Episode number 6 is now available to all, and it starred Jack and Jono, and they tackled over 40 questions from womenshealthmag.com with various results.
I love that.
Yeah. Good episode. Good listen.
Yeah.
You and Jack were on fire.
It was good fun.
Yeah.
It wasn't quite 40 because I think we skipped half of them. But yeah.
That episode is available for public consumption on all podcast hosting platforms as well as sort of Spotify. So be sure to check that out. And if you want to get an early access to episode 7, which is helmed by our man Jono here, as well as Dane and Drew, that is available, as I said, for that low price of $1 per month. But if you want to throw a little bit more behind us, you'll get access to more exclusive perch. You'll get merch, sort of swag in the form of pins and stickers, access to exclusive giveaways, as well as the ability to get immortalized in the 8-Bit Family Portrait, which the first wave of that comes up within the next week. So get excited to see various members of the 8-Bit Collective, as well as various Patreon members immortalized as their favorite video game characters. So get hyped for that.
Yeah.
But be sure to rate, review, subscribe all the podcasts in the hashtag 8-Bit Collective on your podcast platform of choice, because it helps keep those emotional lights on in our hearts. But let's get into some news.
This week's news headlines.
The first one, the big one. Sony and Microsoft partner for cloud and AI innovations. And this comes via way of Rebecca Valentine at gamesindustry.biz. Forewarning, it is a bit of a long read here, so stay with me. Today, Microsoft and Sony announced that they are forming a strategic partnership with one another, collaborating on cloud services and AI technology. The two companies will work together on a number of technologies and solutions largely focused around Microsoft's Azure cloud services. This will include looking into ways Azure can be used with Sony's existing streaming services, both for games and other content. The pair will also look at improving AI technology for customers, working together on intelligent image sensor technology, and incorporating the work Microsoft has already done with Azure on both AI and cloud, as well as Sony's understanding of image sensors and semiconductors. Though not mentioned in the partnership announcement, this collaboration seems at least in part to be a response to Google's announcement earlier this year of its new game streaming service, Stadia, which uses cloud-based technology to stream games across mobile, TV, tablet, and desktop PC. Microsoft has been very vocal about its interest in cloud infrastructure development for some time through its initiatives such as Project xCloud, and there have been rumors of the company announcing a streaming-only console in the near future. Meanwhile, Sony has its own cloud streaming services in PlayStation Now, but its plans for the next console generation, as announced so far, have been noticeably low on anything cloud-related. It's a position that, if held, would keep Sony's next console as the only traditional new console release of the big three. End article.
End article.
What do you reckon of this?
Well,
Okay, Saleem.
It's a bit to chew on there. That's what I think of it. It's interesting, but it's not surprising because this is the direction that gaming has been going towards for a while, which is that ultimately the hardware requirements need to be simplified, and you're going to rely on cloud computing to really have all the power so that you can just stream anywhere. It makes video games much more accessible to people if you can stream a fantastic, 4K, whatever teraflop game to your phone, than if you actually needed to spend $800 on a setup for a classic console or however much for a PC. So that's the idea behind this in part. To see Sony and Microsoft get together on it, it makes, it's weird, but it doesn't really sound weird to me because they're still exploring this technology together. And it, as I think the back end of that article points out, they're still a long way off. It's highly unlikely that PlayStation's next console is going to feature any sort of cloud computing components. Xbox as well aren't really set up just yet for it either. It's cool, but it's a long way away.
I don't think it's as long as we think. I feel in my waters that Microsoft at E3 this year is going to have a big push and focus on cloud.
But you can't do that here right now in Australia because the infrastructure is not set up to support high-speed internet connections. We're sitting, 64th now in the world?
Probably at best. That's probably generous.
And you're looking not just at us, but you're looking at every other market in the world. Like, where can you implement this? And how long would you go for, like, a two-option solution where it's like you've got just a classic console and then you've got this that you make available to as many people as you can? Who knows what problems and challenges come out of that? If you do decide to have, multiple products that you're pushing out internationally, I think it's a while. I do think it's a while.
For some markets, yeah, but like you look at Stadia, like it's releasing, I think, October, November this year, and obviously it's not across every market. Predominantly through North America, through Canada, parts of the UK, and then a smattering of places in Europe that can handle the infrastructure. And I think we'll see something similar with this future Xbox coming out. I reckon within the next 18 months we'll see this thing out. I think sometime in 2020 we'll see this next wave of console, and there will be a big focus on cloud because I think Microsoft are going to come out and emphasize that in a big way at E3 next month. Because they have been working on these technologies for a while, and Project xCloud is something that's been sort of in the media for quite some time, and I think it's a key path to market that they want to try and nail it sort of early in this piece. But yeah, the Sony Microsoft thing's interesting because obviously Sony has always been quick to sort of distance themselves from potential collabs and talking about their sort of user base integrity and don't want to have vulnerabilities like things like doing cross-plat via the Xbox Live service, for instance, is the biggest sticking point. But it's exciting for the future. But Jono, what do you reckon on this? Where's your stance?
I think the technology is sufficient enough in the North Americas for this to be a big thing, and that's where the vast majority of PlayStations and especially Xboxes are sold. So as far as whether it's a smart move, I think that they have to do this, and I think that them partnering up together symbolically, that's the most significant thing to me. That first of all, that they're willing to work together, that's massive because I don't remember this happening before. And secondly, it tells me that they're concerned about what Google's going to be able to do and the effect that will have on their sales of consoles in the future. So I think with Google doing it, you kind of just have to keep up. And even if Google launches to Australia and it's a flop, then they can maybe back off their investment and not be so concerned about keeping up. But if it's a huge success, they've at least put the groundwork in to match it or to keep up. I think for me, not being like a super insightful industry insider, that's my layman's take on what they're aiming for here. And I don't think that they are that concerned about Australia as a small part of that pie and other parts of the world that are even smaller parts of said pie.
Yeah, so you're thinking from a perspective that they just want to stay in relevance in this race to cloud and race to streaming services, and it makes a lot of sense because Google obviously have the global infrastructure as well as the financial backing to throw a hefty amount of money and R&D into making this thing sing and outperform all these potential expectations. So I understand why they don't want to potentially lose any footing in this race to cloud. But yeah, the biggest thing I think is seeing them sort of have this agreement in place. Like we've got all the NDAs signed, and apparently they've signed a few sort of letter of understanding as far as where they want to go with this and how they're both going to sort of incorporate their technologies and visions into this potential pie. But yeah, I think we don't have to wait too long to see more of this. Like, as I said, E3, I'd put some good money on it that there's going to be a big cloud emphasis there from a Microsoft's perspective. Sony, I don't know, because they don't have an official presser, but they've got a Sony event offsite as they do every year, so maybe there'll be a little bit of a splash there, but we won't have to wait too long to get a little bit more of an in-depth take on this. But it's cool to see the two traditional sort of warring cousins, breaking bread at the table at least, which is something we haven't seen in our lifetimes at least.
And we saw on stage last year the three studios coming out together back with Reggie when he was still there. And I think that whether or not that was just a kind of symbolic thing or not, I think that this, to me, shows that they're willing to work together. Obviously, Nintendo and Microsoft have been working together, and maybe this is the start of just that openness to being kind of partners in this industry together, even though they are competitors. I think it's exciting, and it's a good sign at the very least that they're, not cutthroat. It's not the console wars that we've seen in the past. And even in their marketing, I think they've had less of that kind of, take down snidey Nintendo, like Sega does what Nintendo don't, that kind of vibes, like that kind of competitiveness hasn't really been part of the marketing for the past generation. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I'm in agreement with that. I think you put that pretty eloquently there. Dream, what do you reckon?
What are the battlegrounds? So it's like cross-platform, exclusivity, and then that's kind of it. you know, and then yeah, whatever marketing, I guess, or peripherals, or how they want to, you know, shape the narrative. But that's really, as far as like gamers are concerned, those are the only two places where you do see collaboration between these big houses. There's nowhere else. Am I forgetting something? It's literally just cross-platform. People want to be able to play with other people who have games on other consoles, right? That's
the biggest sticking point, I think, for the vast majority of the greater gaming audience.
It's kind of it. So to see, I don't know that this means much in the way of, you know, like the future business relationship. Just because to me, Microsoft have something that Sony don't, which is cloud computing. Sony don't have any cloud computing products. They're not in that market at all. Microsoft are. The Azure platform has business applications that are just made available today across the world. So Sony either tap into Microsoft, or where else are they going for cloud computing? Google? They're not going to Google. No. Amazon, possibly, is maybe another giant that they could go to for that. I can't think of anyone else. So they're kind of...
Apple, maybe? I don't know.
Apple, yeah. Apple?
Yeah, like they're investing a lot of money into that gaming space as well. So no doubt they'll see the value in potentially exploring this avenue a little bit more detail. I'm not too up to date with where they are as far as from a gaming landscape, but I know that they've invested some money and have looked into it.
It is weird. It is cool. It is cool, this little step.
I think the more tech and the more power they put into the old smartphone, you know, the days of the traditional console and things like that will become few and far between over the coming years. When a smartphone has enough grunt to handle, as you said, Dream, like, you know, 4K 60 FPS or whatever it might be, and integrate via Bluetooth to a controller, there's your platform, or then you beam your smartphone to your telly, and there's the gameplay on there. So it's certainly the way the world's going.
As long as there's trophies, achievement systems, we're all happy.
Yeah. I get you. Like, I'm not squarely with you, but I get you.
Yeah. Can I, as an aside, Jono, how many platinum trophies do you have now?
I have 50, and I'm one trophy away from
Platinum
Division 2 and Days Gone. So I'll have 52 in the next couple of weeks, hopefully, if patches come through.
That's massive. Massive.
It's okay.
I have one, and that's Horizon Zero Dawn. And I have one on the Xbox One, or on the Xbox landscape, and that was like Fight Night Round 2, and I just got that by chance.
That tells me that you've never played a Telltale game, because they've all got like finishing the game platinum trophies.
Yeah, actually. No. Well, maybe I have a few, but I've got them on the Xbox, so I'll just see if it's different on there, because you obviously they've got the gamer scores as opposed to the bronze, silver, gold, and then the plat. So yeah, but something that you are not going to be getting a platinum for in a little while now is Ubisoft's open world pirate adventure Skull and Bones, as it has been delayed again. This via way of Matt Wales at Eurogamer. Ubisoft's long in the works open world pirate adventure Skull and Bones has been delayed again, seemingly pushing any potential new release date beyond March next year. Skull and Bones was originally unveiled back at E3 in 2017 and was expected to launch on Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC sometime in 2018. Last May, however, Ubisoft announced that it had made the decision to postpone its release to the 2019 financial year, making today's announcement the second public delay for the game. Ubisoft broke news of the delay on Skull and Bones' official Twitter page, writing that, in quotes, "We're going to batten down the hatches and push back on the game's arrival. This is a challenging news for us, but it's also what's needed to make Skull and Bones as awesome as it can be," end quote. My goodness, first and foremost, I could not give two flying bat shits about this game. I'm all about that pirate life, but Assassin's Creed Black Flag nailed it. Sea of Thieves seem to be nailing it now. Like, I haven't been back since all these new advancements came out to said game, but from what I hear, it is finally a fully fleshed out pirate experience with a ton of things to do outside of just fetch quests. So we'll get back and give that a look. But yeah, this game seems doomed to me. What do you guys reckon? You got any skin in the Skull and Bones game?
Dude.
I do. I was excited for this when they announced it, because I, like you mentioned am a huge fan of Black Flag, which is my favorite Assassin's Creed game. And
I'm there with you on that. Actually,
Yeah.
maybe Odyssey's taken over it now, but Black Flag's up there.
But
Yeah.
Odyssey
love
has
that
a lot
game.
of the things that made Black Flag great, namely the ship battles.
Yeah, but they don't feel very essential to the game to me from what I played of Odyssey. Whereas that it's like kind of built around that kind of pirate life in Black Flag, and I really love that game. I could have done without all the Assassin's Creediness as far as the Templars and that kind of Abstergo, all the stuff that kind of people were getting a bit sick of by that point in like 2014 or whenever it was. So I think when I heard about Skull and Bones, I was like, sweet, Black Flag without the Assassin's Creed parts of it. That sounds really cool. But yeah, the fact that it's been delayed a couple of times does kind of dampen that excitement quite a bit. And I just don't know what it is. Like, is there going to be a story? Is it going to be an online kind of game as a service, Sea of Thieves type thing where it's about the experience rather than a narrative? I don't know. So I think we'll have to just wait and see what they come up with. I mean, Ubisoft don't often put out duds. I don't think. I think they've got a pretty good track record, and delaying a game's always going to be better than putting out something that's substandard, so that's fine. I don't know what their track record is with delaying games. I know Watch Dogs got pushed back when that was kind of in development for quite a while, but they seem to be pretty good about hitting their targets. Do you guys remember other significant delays from those guys?
Not really. I think they're sort of a publisher that is very much, they'll release the game when they feel it is created to the best of their potential abilities. Like Watch Dogs, the first one was all right, but I think Watch Dogs 2, they certainly elevated that sort of hacker secret sauce in a big way.
Yeah.
Actually, now I think about that, I'm sort of contradicting myself.
I slightly disagree with that, only in that they did go for a very long period just releasing Assassin's Creed year after year after year after year. And to mixed reviews, particularly for the later titles, about what they're actually doing to improve on each iteration. I think they are more in the habit of just pumping out games. They don't typically delay. So, maybe this is like one of a few. But I like the thing about this more. Like I'm with you, Brendan, in that this doesn't bother me at all that this game's being delayed. I'm certainly with you, Jono, in that it's better to just delay the game than release it and it's in poor form. It feels like studios are going through a learning experience though about, what they're actually capable of achieving. Because it feels like every other month we have a new delay from somewhere, and it's about like just managing people's expectations. Is it right to announce games at particular points in their development where you don't know that you can meet these delays? Don't know that you can meet these deadlines that you're setting for yourselves. Because this is years old now, this game. And it's like, well, who does it really, who does it affect if you don't go and announce it, when you do? You wait a year or two and you announce it maybe 6 months or 12 months out from when you actually know that you can deliver. Yeah. Like, how much hype do you need to build? Like, all of that. Yeah. That's all marketing questions that I just don't know the answer to. But
that's where I think PlayStation have done well to hold off on announcing dates for, The Last of Us 2, Death Stranding, Ghost of Tsushima. We don't have any expectation of seasonal release or monthly release. And that's probably a good thing, because if they had, then there's a good chance that those dates would have been delayed or pushed back by now. Days Gone's the only example in recent history where I can think where that
was only like a month anyway, wasn't it?
Yeah, and before that, like the previous era, there was a lot of delays in PlayStation, and I think that's when they kind of started to hold off on putting release dates on all their trailers and that kind of thing. So I think that's the right tact to take, and then that enables you to do what Borderlands 3 have done, and it's like, boom, we're coming out in 4 months, or the old Fallout 4 release date where the hype is at maximum level because people get announced and then it's out within 6 months. So that seems to be from my perspective, the best way to market a game that people are anticipating. If it's something that doesn't have a following, then maybe you need a bit longer period of time to build that up.
But like Apex had a fantastic launch this year off the back of like 2 weeks' notice.
Yeah, that was a pretty rare kind of marketing ploy, I think. And it worked really well.
I'm very much on the same train of thought, though, regarding that you don't need to hype a game for several years in order to create or have this game find an audience. I think that sort of shorter, more focused marketing strategy is brilliant. Like, obviously there is some potential risks there as far as maybe pre-orders not sort of landing where they want and things like that. But I'm all about it. Like, I remember, was it Beyonce sort of did this sort of the first time as far as a mainstream pop culture realm, where it was almost done in a tweet. It's like, oh, and by the way, this album's available right now. Yeah. And then obviously U2 snuck it onto all Apple-based devices with their album.
It's a great album.
But I couldn't tell you. I deleted it off
Songs
the phone
of Experience.
Like straight away.
It's a good album. I'll stand by that.
But on the Ubisoft front, like, it was interesting because this was the same year they announced Beyond Good and Evil 2 as well. But like, they've handled that franchise with a lot more care than Skull and Bones, because they're showing developer diaries and sort of a lot of behind the scenes and here's some potential ways this game's going to go, and getting was it Project Space Monkey, I think, involved, where you can sign up and help shape the game. So maybe Skull and Bones was more so of a direct influence from when Vivendi still had sort of control over Ubisoft, and they are forcing these games to come out in that sort of yearly sort of cycle, and they just want to try and get as much out to the market to maintain a better share price. But now that Ubisoft have got more control, they're sort of staggering releases and pushing it out from a date perspective to ensure the game's quality's there. But I don't know. It's interesting, but yeah, I just don't care about Skull and Bones. Like, if you can be a pirate and get off the ship and have some RPG elements where your character can sort of evolve as a ruthless pirateer, or I don't know, a nice pirate. I don't know how you want to describe it, but from all I hear, it's just ship combat. Like, it's just naval battles from all I hear. And that could be cool, but I think that'll probably run its course very quickly.
Yeah, if it's just the third-person version of Sea of Thieves, then it's not adding much to the experience that people probably haven't had before, if that's an Xbox or a PC.
Yeah, but we'll see. Like, it was meant to be out 2018. Now it's looking like it's coming out sometime in 2020. So let's see what happens with Skull and Bones.
Could be next gen.
Yes.
Could be a launch title.
Skull and Bones.
Which could make it sell really well.
8K, it's just like a pack-in title. Something like that. I miss pack-ins. I miss when you buy a console and you get games for free at launch and things. I thought that was great. But
Alex Kidd.
Yes. That was genius, just
literally bundled into the console. Yeah, I played that at PAX last year.
Alex Kidd,
it's not good. Yeah,
I just love in that game that you win battles by scissors paper rock.
I think that's the sequel, isn't it? Yeah.
That was in the Sega Master System too. That was the one dug in on there, like embedded in the console.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, but the next bit of news, which I'm excited to talk about because I've been looking forward to getting back into this world. Red Dead Online marks end of beta with poker and gold for all. This comes via way of Emma Kent at Eurogamer. Wow, that was quick. Shortly after Take-Two announced the Red Dead Online beta would end, within the next 2 months, it's happened. The game is leaving beta today, and that was as of yesterday, which was Saturday the 18th of May, and is celebrating with a major new content update that introduces new co-op missions, expands free roam, and importantly, adds poker. You'll never adventure outside this gambling room again. In Rockstar's update post, the developer thanked everyone who participated during the beta period. Your feedback has been instrumental in helping us fine-tune the game so far, with many of your suggestions implemented in today's update. And we will continue to implement more of your feedback in future updates to come, end quote. So what's in this one? Alongside an overhaul of the hostility system to reduce griefing, which we already knew about, players can expect to see expansions to the Jessica Leclerc story campaign with both honourable and dishonourable missions, On the good path, players battle the Del Lobos gang and help Tom Davies save Valentine, while the path of evil leads to a highway robbery and bank theft. Either way, you wind up at Blackwater with a dangerous adversary. I don't know what that says about morality. In the free roam department, Rockstar has added characters from the story of Red Dead Redemption 2, along with new mission types such as Destroy, Jailbreak, and Stolen Wagon. The dubious characters in question include Thomas the Skiff Captain and the Aberdeen Pig Farmers. Importantly, dynamic events are now a thing, meaning you can stumble across the kind of random encounters found in Red Dead story mode. Can't wait to suck venom out of someone's foot again, although at least in online I'll be able to get cash, gold, or XP for it as well as honor. End article. Heck yeah. Heck yeah.
This is something that I was asking for. Like, from the days of actually playing the single player, I was always saying, I just can't wait to play poker with my friends online, trash talk, put on a southern accent, whatever it is. Like, that is what I was looking forward to. So even though I uninstalled Red Dead, I'm going to have to load it back up again and jump into the chair for some poker, I think.
Yeah, let's like we had a bit of a chat about this a couple of days ago in some Facebook. But yeah, let's do like a poker tourney. We'll jump on, assume our characters, and we'll do like a proper tournament and cut it together for a video, because I think it could be pretty damn fun. I really liked my time with Red Dead Online, but I fell away from it really quick, and I think a lot of people did too, because there just wasn't a huge amount to do once you finish that first wave of Leclerc missions. So I'm excited to go back and finish that. I'm liking the dynamic events, the poker, the hostility system that can eliminate some of that griefing, because that was a real pain in the ass. You know, just getting spawn killed over and over and over and over and over by some wanker was not fun.
With a varmint rifle.
Yeah. But heck yeah, I'm keen. I actually have to reinstall it myself. So
it's a big install. It was too big to just sit there when I wasn't playing it. But I knew this day would come, I guess. It is good to see that they've added quite a bit of stuff to it. Hopefully it's enough to actually get people back in, because it just seemed to die so quickly, like you said. And seeing what happened with GTA Online, where that took a really long time, but then it just became massive, I really think that if they continue to make this campaign as the multiplayer campaign more close to what we experienced in the single player, and making it feel that same sense of, you know, freedom and immersion, I think that adding friends to that is going to be huge. And I think that is what they need to do to get people back in, especially as we were talking before we started recording. There's a bit of a lull in AAA games coming up, where we don't really have so much until all those third-party games start dropping in September. So this could be the time. I don't know if they did that on purpose or not, but this could be the timing window they need to bring people back in and build up a bit of a reputation for the online side of it.
For sure. Hey, Dream, are you going to bring your shirtless wonder character to sort of Red Dead Online, sort of take that Bowie knife out again and just sort of stab? Are you coming on this journey?
I certainly am. I didn't play all that much of online, to be honest. I think I did just the intro missions. From memory, my character is like
toothless.
Yeah, he is toothless, I think, and he is. I just made him like as close to the big O from of Mice and Men, played by what's his name? John Malkovich. I made him look as like as oafy as I could as John Malkovich's character in Of Mice and Men. Yeah. So anyway, that's as much as I can remember. I don't think I've got any money to gamble with in Red Dead Online. I'm gonna have to get cracking.
We'll have $1 buy-in. It's okay.
All right, that's enough for me, mate. I'll make it work.
The good thing is, I think even if you've booted up Red Dead Online once, now going back into it, the amount of sort of gold handouts and sort of monetary thank yous that they've dished out over the last 6 months, you'll probably have a pretty fat stack of cash.
Yeah, you'll have some interest.
Really interesting. All right, I'll go and check it out. This can only be fun. I mean, as little as I've actually played of it, knowing what they did with GTA 5, looking at everything we're seeing here, and then also you can just imagine what's roadmap for the future. Like, this will be fantastic. I'm very excited to jump into this. We should do this week.
I'm down. I'm still holding out hope for when they bring out the eventual being able to purchase a business and run, whether it be a pig farm or run the saloon or the barbershop or the gun store. Like I want to run a saloon like Al Swearingen in Deadwood. I want the saloon experience. I want to have someone playing the old piano and dances in the corner and bar fights left, right, and center. That's what I want. I just want to run my own bar and just enjoy that Wild West life.
Looking at what they've been able to do with GTA with those roleplay servers, it doesn't sound that crazy that it's potential for that kind of thing as well. Whether it might just be on PC, but it's possible. Yeah,
there's I was reading an article, I think it was on Kotaku the other day, about a few gangs, quote unquote, that actually already do it just in standard Red Dead Online. And I think they've got about 100 members across platforms. And I was sort of reading this gentleman's experience from Kotaku with it, where they ride into town, sort of lines of two, 30, 40 of them, all dressed in the same sort of outfit, all coming in to buy their supplies. They all use this same abandoned house as their hideout, and they get together and plan things and heists and whatever else. And it's really cool, and seeing that translate to that full roleplay realm would be a ton of fun.
I just kind of casually mentioned PC, but do you think this game's going to get released on PC now that they've kind of got a way to make a lot more money out of the online side of it?
They'd be silly not to, right? Like, people would lap this up on PC, especially if they can translate this to the roleplay server, which is one of the main water cooler topics that are going around the game space. Everyone's all about it. You see everybody jumping into GTA RP at the moment and living out their Grand Theft Auto character fantasies. So, chuck that into the Wild West and see what happens.
I think it took about 18 months to hit to hit PC for GTA 5. So it's quite possible that maybe this time next year it'll be on the cards.
Can't wait. But let's get this poker going this week.
Yeah,
I'm going to get the download going the second we get off this podcast.
I have to delete a bunch of stuff.
I think it's 90 gig? 90 gig if I remember right.
I've got the baseline PS4, so it's always a stretch.
Yeah. So that has been episode 151 of the Hungry Gamers podcast. Is there anything either of you fine gentlemen want to say or add or plug before we close up this bad boy for another week?
Might just throw out the latest Putting in Work episode is up with an interview featuring Chase Williams, formerly a producer over at Sony Santa Monica, working with some of those PlayStation exclusives as a producer. So you get to find out what that means. He's now over at Inno Games in Hamburg, Germany. They're the team behind Tribal Wars, one of the biggest mobile franchises out there. So really interesting guy there, and some great insights into kind of the Sony PlayStation culture and business thinking, I think. So check that out.
Sounds like a damn good listen. What about you, Dream? What do you got to say?
I hail ScoMo, our new fearless leader. Yeah, no, nothing big other than thank you again for anyone who got us into the OzPod Awards as a finalist, and congratulations again to Pixel Sift. And Jono, thanks for joining us, mate. It's bloody good to be on another podcast with you. It feels like it's been a minute.
Thank you for having me.
Mate, the door is always open, and if it is closed, just open it and come on in. All right, it's that simple. One last thing I want to say I'm excited about is I am going to be buying an Oculus Quest this week. So that is the new Oculus Rift gaming VR headsets, completely wireless, completely PC free. Comes out on May the 21st, so I going to be putting my order in, and I cannot wait to play Beat Saber and everything else. All done wirelessly, all done, regardless of additional hardware needed. So get keen. I think they start at about $600, but full premium VR wireless experience with, I think, 60 games available at launch, if I remember right, somewhere around then. So they've got a good amount of games to keep you occupied for now until the future. So heck yes.
We're going to get some Let's Plays or something with that?
I think we need to. Rach and I were talking about doing a bit more VR stuff. So, we'll tackle that. I just need to work out as far as data transmission wirelessly, how it's going to go into OBS. But, where there's a will, there's a way.
Sounds good.
But, yeah.
And I guess we can plug the 8-bit YouTube. We've got Brendan's Rage 2 review going up soon. Some Days Gone videos there. And, of course, Sammy Deej, as always, plugging away at the reviews too.
Yeah, he's just dropped his sort of impressions on Life is Strange episode 2 from season 2. So that is available on there too. So there's plenty of video content to whet the appetite until we release a little bit more later this week. But yeah, Days Gone, Rage 2, Life is Strange 2. Plenty of content there to keep you occupied in between listening to podcasts. But yes, this has been episode 151 of the Hungry Games podcast. Thank you to our fantastic sponsor, Audio Technica, for always providing us the best in audio equipment. We're talking headphones, microphones, gaming headsets, turntables, and some of the sexiest streetwear around. If you're looking for sexy streetwear, also head on over to weare8bit.storeenvy.com to shop our brand new store on there. We even just had tracksuit pants rock up onto the store, so we can get tracky dacks on the store. weare8bit.storeenvy.com for all that. But until next week, where we're going to be back at you for episode 151, I have been Brandon, this has been Jono, and that has also been Saleem the Dream. Much love, 8-Bit Nation.
Stay hungry.
You've been listening to The Hungry Gamers, one of many gaming and geek culture related podcasts from the 8-Bit Collective over on 8bit.net. Check out more episodes on your podcast service of choice. And while you're there, please be sure to rate and subscribe. Until next time, boys and girls, stay hungry.